Hello music lovers, this is Ocean. In this video, I'm going to talk about my previous composition inspired by Elgar, Theme and Variations for Friends. Without further ado, let's begin. First of all, the performance direction of the theme innig is a German word which means sincerely. The theme is divided into three sections, A, B, A, so as almost all the other variations since they are all based on the theme. A itself is divided into a phrase structure of A, A, B, C. A is colored in yellow, which is the main melody. It's formed by starting with a perfect fifth and ends with a downward scale. It is soon repeated with the downward scale transposed. Next comes the B theme in red. I call it the emotional melody because of the widely leaping nature of the notes and the changing harmony under it which causes tension. Lastly is C, the green theme. I call it the complement theme because it is just a complement to the red theme in order to resolve the tension and close the section. It is formed by a downward scale to the tonic. With the help of the pivot chord, we are now in B, which is a development section. The pink theme, which makes up the whole section B, is very similar to the red theme. After some sequences and modulations, we reach the climax of the F-sharp sus4 chord. Then we have a similar complement theme, first played by the right hand and then echoed by the left. Finally, A is repeated with a bit changes in the red theme. Variation 1, Der Schweizer, is written for Z.U. Here we have an energetic waltz to begin our journey. I wrote a waltz because Z.U is energetic all the time and most of the time he is optimistic. The main melody starts on the upbeat. The downward scale is replaced by chromatic scale to add liveliness and humor to the waltz. The red theme is expressed by two streams of arpeggios and finally to the closing phrase. With the same pivot chord, we are now in section B. Notice how the right hand is divided into two parts, with the lower playing chromatic notes to increase tension. The music is interrupted by a complement theme before leading to the climax. Shortly after that, the music goes quiet again and repeats the A section. Variation 2, Der Historiker, is written for Leo Chu. Although still far from the master of fugue Bach himself, I still attempted to write a fugue because I remember Leo once asked me about church organs and said he loved them. FYI, that instrument is from Baroque period when the fugue was very popular. Starting in the tonality in the middle voice, then followed by the bass playing the theme in dominant, which I colored in deep blue. After that, the upper voice enters to play in tonic, a conventional exposition for fugues. Notice how the material in the main melody is used to develop the whole fugue. For example, notice the dotted rhythm here in the episodes linking up sections A and B. Then comes the development section where the first voice plays in dominant, answered by middle voice playing in tonic. A special technique used here is the inversion. To put it simply, mirror image. The parts colored in sky blue are the vertically inverted images of the main melody. Then again notice how the fragment of the main melody transformed into questions and answers in the episode. And finally we have again the A section. The variation ends with the fragmented main melody twice as low. Variation 3, C.M.H, is written for Thomas Jern. The reason why I wrote this is Thomas always has a calm and quiet character, yet when you chat with him you find out that he has a good sense of humor. So I referenced the dramatic dynamics in Haydn's Surprise Symphony and a humorous piece by Prokofiev, March from the opera Love of Three Oranges. Yes, that is a real name for an opera and just Google it. The main melody is always interrupted by these sky blue mystery fragments. The A section ends with the complement theme in green, the crescendo gradually, and then jump scares the audience with a chord in fortissimo. After that, the music returns to the tranquil state again, with the sky blue theme developed. Then, out of nowhere, the music reaches its climax with the quote of Prokofiev's March. Next, section A is repeated but with the red aggressive theme under the main melody. Variation 4, Der Große Bruder, is written for Peter Chan. It is the first time we have a key change to D minor. The character I try to depict with this music is like Darth Vader from Star Wars, which is Peter's favorite series. The texture is divided into two parts, the main melody in yellow and the bass notes in deep blue. I also added ornamental notes before the melody to make the music sound more
interesting.
After the first 6 bars, the bass line now imitates the main melody while the upper voice brings out the red theme, which also acts as the connection between sections A and B. Then in section B, the green complement theme is played. Shortly, section B ends and is connected to section A again by the red theme. Notice how in the new A section, the accompaniment plays triplets, creating a galloping effect. Finally, the left hand plays the main melody by itself, while the right hand plays the augmented green theme, at the same time interrupted by trills between every 2 bars. Variation 5, M.W.H. is written for Clement Moore. This variation is a reminiscence of incantation and dance by chance. It is a piece I performed in wind band competition. Back then, Peter and Clement were also members of the band. Clement played the infamous whip part as a percussionist. His part was extremely difficult because of the chaotic atmosphere built by the other percussionists, making him difficult to count the bars between his entrances. There are 5 kinds of materials in total in order to recreate this disastrous piece. The main yellow theme, the green complement theme, the red which impersonates the whip, the deep blue bass notes, and the purple brass-like notes. Notice how the yellow theme gets longer and higher progressively. After the development, the modulated main melody is finally played in fortissimo. Lastly, we have the expanded main melody played in polychords and the whip fragment again to end the variation. Notice how the chromatic scale here leads us to the next variation. Variation 6, Der Gitarrist, is written for Alex Yearn. Written for our very best guitarist in 6th year, Alex. I attempted to simulate the arpeggios of the guitar to accompany the lyrical melody on the top.
That's not how guitar works,
said Alex. The main melody here is mirrored compared to the original and the key is changed to E major, a very warm key. In addition to the original theme, a subsidiary melody also comes in every now and then to make the music smoother. Notice how the subsidiary melodic line is passed between the left hand and the right. Variation 7, Der Gentleman, is written for Ohm. He is the most friendly and kind person I have ever met. In contrast to the slow variation for Alex, I wrote a fast and virtuosic variation for him. Originally, I wanted to write jazz music for him, which is his favorite, but I'm no expert in jazz. Notice how the yellow theme is interrupted by these chords colored in deep blue to make the music more triumphant. The original notes for the red theme are hidden between the fast streams of arpeggios. And finally, we have the complement theme also hidden in the triplets. Notice here when we have polyrhythm between 2 hands, 3 on the right and 2 on the left. This is a common device to make the music more tasteful and create tension. After that, the green theme appears again to connect back to section A. Variation 8, 1.0, is written for Heidi Chow. Written for our great one-fruit name athlete, Heidi. This variation has kind of a hidden storyline to it. First, let me explain these 2 Italian words. Risoluto means determined and resolute, and conspirato means with spirit. I include these 2 words in hope that she will continue to be determined and with spirit, just like the way she was in One Fruit Name. The variation opens with the main melody in a steady pulse like in running. Then the red theme echoed by the purple is like the cheering of the audience. Ending with the green theme and the pivot chord, we jump into the section B again with the pink theme in the pulse. After the streams of arpeggios, the athlete's victory is achieved. In the triumphant atmosphere, chords in extended range are blasted, celebrating for the champion. The main melody acts as a bridge to our final destination. Variation 9, Der Komponist, written for myself. A Russian piano concerto-like variation. The yellow, red, and purple themes are all in this kind of horse-galloping manner. Notice how the purple theme and the fragments of red theme are combined in the transition before the green theme, and how the melody of the actual red theme is on the left hand. Using a glissando across 2 octaves, we now have the green complement phrase. Next, a transition based on the yellow material acts as the pivot to section B. Notice how the red block is mostly in F sharp major, the dominant of B minor. Moving on to section B. The pink theme is broken into short, long phrases while accompanied by these deep blue ostinati. Then the purple theme is repeated again with an exception of having the yellow theme going downward instead of upward. After that, the climax of section B is accomplished with the majestic harmonies blasted by both hands, moving down chromatically. Section A is then repeated. The green theme is extended this time and transformed as a sonorous melody. Then the red theme is struck on the piano like in an orchestral tutti. The music then gradually calms down with a secondary melodic line in orange to fill in the space. Next, the sky blue theme of trill like a flute and arpeggios like a harp is played like a sign after the excitement. After that, the yellow chords play the fragment of main melody in expanded length. Surprisingly, the music ends with a fire coda constructed by the yellow, purple, and red themes.